I know that I'll probably be judged and criticized for what I did to my teacher, but I simply couldn't forget how much he humiliated me. He deserved it, and I have no regrets whatsoever. So, a while ago, I had a very important exam. I stepped into an exam hall, got seated, and waited for it to start. Before the papers were given out, I suddenly remembered that my pen might be out of ink. I checked and totally freaked out. It was. I knew that I needed permission to change the pen to another one, and that's when all the mess began. So I raised my hand and got the attention of the nearest exam supervisor. This was a teacher who knew me. I immediately noticed that he looked at me with a grin on his face since he didn't like me at all. I took one of his classes where I often played games or slept, but I've never caused any problems and never been rude to him. He had tried to humiliate me a few times by asking me questions when I wasn't paying attention, but I managed to answer them correctly. Anyways, during the exam I asked him, "Can I borrow a pen?" He replied with a slight grin on his face, "You come to an examination without a pen? Why did you bother to come at all?" I wasn't in the mood for jokes. I tried to explain to him the situation, but he continued to mess with me. "Whose fault is it you forgot? My fault? Why don't you forget to take the exam as well?" There were hundreds of people in that dead silent exam hall, and all of them were staring at me. So I asked him again, but his only reply was, "No, it's your own fault you were careless. You're so smart, right? Take the exam without a pen." Are you kidding me? It was my last and the most important paper, and there was this guy showing everyone how helpless I am while he enjoys it. I looked at him and he just widened his smirk. Luckily, I didn't snap. I ignored him, raised my hand, and waved at the next nearest exam supervisor who allowed me to borrow a pen. But with all the rage coursing through me, it was really hard to focus. Immediately after my exams, I had one clear goal in mind: to teach him a lesson for what he did to me. So I went to speak to the dean of the faculty. He immediately organized a meeting with this teacher, and guess what? He just spoke about how I was a troubling and careless student, that he just wanted to teach me a lesson and would have let me borrow a pen later on. The dean sided with him, and no further action was taken. So holidays began, and I devoted extraordinary effort into finding a way to defeat that man. I went through his Facebook, years of it, thousands of photos and comments. I found nothing that would get him into trouble. Then I Googled his phone numbers and emails, pages upon pages of boring stuff. I was asking myself how such an awful person can live such a perfectly innocent life. Hours of scrolling through web pages and nothing. I was desperate. But then came one mundane-looking forum post with his personal email. I was just about to call it quits as I clicked on it. As I read the context of that forum post, fire from the depths of hell burned in my eyes, and I laughed a loud, evil laugh. It was a forum to discuss and advertise some really dirty stuff, and apparently he was really active there. He made a huge mistake of using his personal email there, but anyone could have posted his email, so my odds weren't good. But, well, I immediately contacted our local news website. Its staff was really interested in the possibility to expose the teacher and agreed to meet with me. But they had concerns about the legitimacy of the teacher's ties to that user account. So I told them of a plan to bait him into using his mobile number to identify himself as the owner of that account. We cooperated and implemented the plan. From an anonymous number, we wrote him a message asking to confirm his identity, otherwise he wouldn't be able to use his account anymore. He messaged us that he was the owner of the username from that forum. That was it. He fell into our trap. Soon, the news came out. Since I asked the website staff to keep me anonymous, nobody knew who hit him. The story spread around. It had his name, face, and screenshots of his user account reviews, and the SMS messages tying him to it. Many students also came out speaking against his teaching ethics. He became a hot topic for everyone to gossip about, including the teachers. And by the time the new semester began, he was gone like the wind. I know what everyone might think, that I could have let go of what happened that day in the exam hall, been the bigger man, and so on. But I just simply couldn't let it go. And yes, I admit, it felt so good. But there was one last thing I had to do, to text him. "Dear teacher, I understand now the importance of the lesson you are trying to teach me. If only you heeded your own words. It's your own fault for being careless." I never got a reply. I guess he eventually understood that I gave him a taste of his own medicine.